Thank you very much. First of all, we're new to the game in East Tennessee, so I'm here to learn a lot, and especially from what has gone on in the past. I'm also a native of Nashville, so it's kind of nice to be back and see what's going on. I grew up here. I left. I'm a serial mayor. Okay, it's not like a serial killer. I was mayor of Covington, Kentucky, 30 years ago, and my wife says that it's a disease in my family. I'm going to talk about what we're doing in East Tennessee and how we got started, and not so much the details of where we're at, but it's an interesting story. The community development director for Knoxville was a woman by the name of Madeline O'Hara, and she worked for the mayor, Bill Haslam. You recognize that name, I know. And she applied for a grant on sustainability and said, we got to look at this area as a region. And $4.6 million was granted, and the process began. Well, in the meantime, there's a new mayor in Knoxville by the name of Madeline O'Hara. And a lot of things were happening in downtown. And the grant was given. It serves 5 counties, the MNSA for Knoxville. And it's kind of interesting what has happened there. First of all, if you've ever met Madeline, you know that she is a true leader. She gets this, and she knows how to encourage people. What I've decided this is, and I think the community that works on this is succession planning for us. It's not for me. It's for my children and my grandchildren that we are doing Plan ET. I like that Plan ET thing. As the first speaker noted, there's going to be a population growth. We project that in the next 30 years, there'll be 300,000 new people moving to East Tennessee. Where are we going to put them? How are we going to service them? And now is the time to really start looking at that. We're calling it East Tennessee Competes, and we think we can do that. I remember that I was at an event in downtown Knoxville where site selection folks were there. And you're kind of talking to them, what are you looking for when you are meeting with your clients and helping them decide where to move? And it became pretty clear to me that the next generation of site selection will take place not only because the people get along, but they want a livable place where they can have their employees come and raise their families. And I heard that loud and clear, Mitchell. You hear it too, don't you? And that to me is why and that we're able to pull together a lot of what's going on in East Tennessee. I was on vacation in a different place with some friends, and I was bragging about we're going to get Costco and Trader Joe's. He said, you're getting that in Oak Ridge, Tennessee? Well, I realized that I wasn't getting that in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. I was getting that for the region. It was something that I was happy to see come. And it's a kind of an attitude that we're starting to foster. Oak Ridge, you remember Oak Ridge was the secret city, the first gated city. If we stayed in that mode as a community, we would be dead because the gates have opened. And quite honestly, most of the employees who've come to my city don't live there. It's a regional approach. Plan ET began 18 months ago, and I'm going to just kind of go through some of the highlights of it. We're concentrating on 5 specific areas. Economics, obviously. I talked about why people and how we're trying to get people to move there. Transportation and infrastructure. You got to be able to move people around, and you've got to be able to have the infrastructure that's important. Housing and neighborhoods. One of the things we discovered in our initial phase is that the average employee and family unit in East Tennessee right now spends 52% of their income on transportation and housing. How can we cut that number down? Health, healthy communities, and this is an issue that's all across America right now. We have got to figure ways and help people understand what they need to do to stay healthy, so that we don't have to give the same services. In fact, they can work longer and be more productive with their employment and the environment. You ever try to place a company in a community where there is a problem with air pollution? You can't do it. We have got to figure ways to make sure that our air is cleaner, so that we can be available for economic development for other industries. We've gone through 3 phases. It's kind of interesting. Again, we're late to the game, so we've learned from a lot of our predecessors. First thing we did was community input. And we learned a lot there. We learned a lot of information. We learned how to do it, and we also learned how not to do it. And I give credit to the staff of the TPO and the Metropolitan Planning Commission, which really helps us from Knoxville, that we changed. We had a change as we went through this process. If we didn't make some changes, we would not be here today with the kind of support that we have. So the first thing was the livability report. What does it really look like to live there now? And then after that, we started connecting the dots. One of the big takeaways I have from this is, and there's a lot of elected officials here, and it's about relationships, what we're doing. Everybody that spoke before talked about that. And if we're going to move East Tennessee forward, if we're going to move Tennessee forward, it's about how we work together and how we understand things. Now, I'm a little parochial sometimes, and I think every elected official really is going to take care of their town first. But now, if there's an issue where there's a plant looking at Knoxville, moving out of Oak Ridge, I will pick up the phone and I will call Madeline Rohara and talk to her. And it's about those types of relationships that will come out of this planning that's going to make us a stronger East Tennessee and a stronger Tennessee. The other thing that we are doing, we've got another, at the end of 2013, 2014 beginning, we're going to have a plan. Now, you got a plan, but you make sure it doesn't stay on the shelf. It's no good, it's not an asset if it's on the shelf. And one of the big things that we're doing with Plan ET is making sure it has longevity. The longevity is going to come from 2 things. First of all, we're going to plan for it. But the second part is we're going to make sure those relationships that take us to the next level as a region are in place. And that is the critical piece if you're going to succeed. Chattanooga is the grandfather of all of that, because the visioning that took place there 20 years is alive today because of what you heard earlier. And every region that succeeds, Raleigh, I never think of Raleigh-Durham. I think of what do you call? Triangle. I'm trying to think, what cities are those? You know, that's the new America. That's the new thing. It's a region. So thank you for letting us come. Thank you for leading the way, Cumberland, tomorrow. Look at us 5 years from now. We think we're doing pretty well now because the place we live is pretty cool with mountains and streams. And the progress that we're going to make, we are and will be a very important part of the economic growth in Tennessee. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing the rest of the program.